Now today I'll be doing something a little bit stupid, definitely fun and absolutely interesting. A while ago I was notified that you can actually get a permanent active tank with a stable capacitor without a capacitor battery, and honestly that did catch my attention, and now I finally have time to check it out myself. Now the trick well, it's not exactly a trick, but in order to do something like this, you need to have a level 45 pulse crystal implant. The level 45 attribute basically gives you, I think, 15% capacitor per 10% shield, or something very similar to that. Now, the Apocalypse Navy will be the ship that I'll be trying this on, and in a different video I'll do the same with other ships. But for now, today I'll be flying the Apocalypse Navy. Fully fledged shield tank Apocalypse Navy. I would actually say that this does look cursed as hell, but would be interesting to see. I mean, you know what they say. If something is stupid but it works, it's not stupid. And I never thought that I'll do a shield tank Apocalypse Navy, but this might actually be worth it, who knows. Now, the implant. So as I already mentioned, you need to have a level 45 pulse crystal implant to basically be able to get this to work because of the level 45 attribute, which does, where is it? Oh, that was the wrong implant, my apologies. Pulse crystal. Yeah, this is the right one. Reverse power, activation time 10 seconds, shield need 15%, and it does that. So for every 15% shield, it gives you 10% capacitor. So technically, if you can consume less than 10% capacitor, and if you can get more than 15% shield by the time the cycle is over, you can technically be capacitor stable. Now the main drawback of this is you also have to be able to tank the enemy ship DPS, but if you can already out repair the implant, then I'm fairly sure you can also tank a lot of incoming DPS as well. Now I will be adding some general units here. I'll give extra shield boost performance. It will increase capacitor usage, but it will also at the same time improve how much shield is being repaired or boosted per cycle. And the ship hull itself is built with a shield booster in mind, so, and I think this might also be a very interesting secondary attribute. 15% increased. Okay, I think I will swap to that other 15 secondary. Extra capacitor recovery once the main DPS mode is offline could be interesting. We will see how this will work. So let me undock and let's see if that theory that I have right now is going to work. Can I use less than 10% capacitor by the time it recovers it, and can I actually boost the shield back? This is going to be very wild on a dreadnought that they have bonus on repairs, the revelation in particular. That's the dreadnought that I'll be trying this on, and the Bane, of course. Well, they're still not fixed, by the way. I still cannot test out the lance properly because there are still bugs. Nonetheless, let's turn on the harness and let's quickly check out the stats. Now, it has 62,000 in shield, has pretty good resistances, fairly tanky ship. After all, it is a navy and they do have like resistance on everything, so yeah, 1.5 thousand shield recovered per booster. So a total of about 4.5 thousand shield recovered every 4.37 seconds. That can be better, but is it going to be enough? We will find out. 3.2 million hit points with the damage control active. I actually thought about using something else instead of a damage control. Fourth booster perhaps. I mean, that would be pretty crazy if you have 4 boosters. If you can recover so much capacitor, then a force booster might be a even wilder build. If you can get this thing to be capacitor stable, 4 boosters might be an interesting option, or a adaptive. I'll see what I'll do with that module that can be fitted in instead of the damage control. But I do like to have the damage control because it is very useful nowadays, and these ships do have a bonus on them, so might as well, you know, use it. And well, it works apparently. The shield is being recovered, and the capacitor is being recovered as well, and it does recover a flat 10%, and that's bring it back to nearly full capacitor. This is actually kind of wild when you think about it. So with this current setup, it seems to be working. Doesn't seem like I'm losing much capacitor there, and the shield is being recovered quite quickly as well. Well, okay, I know this looks pretty stupid, and I would say in some cases it might actually be pretty stupid. I still don't really know what to feel about a build like this. I kind of like it, but at the same time it kind of feels just wrong to use the ship like this. I don't know. The good thing is you can literally get infinite capacitor with this. So as long as you're capacitor, as long as you can recover capacitor, you will have capacitor, which is kind of wild when you think about it. So yeah, if you are using your shield as capacitor, you are actively recovering shield, but you are recovering more shield than you're using capacitor. I think that's the thing that is the goal here, that I guess the idea behind this build is all about. Now, instead of that one damage control, I thought, you know, could potentially use any other module, but I feel like the damage control might be the ideal thing to have here. Imagine the look on someone's face when you pop the damage control and just repair your shield to 100%. This is going to be wild. This does not work with armor, of course, since you can't waste armor in order to get capacitor. It works only with a shield tank, so that's kind of interesting. Works only with a shield tank. Okay, well, I guess that's the response that you get.
Destination reached.
Because shield doesn't have a thermocirculation implant, but they have this, which I would say is actually a lot more powerful. But anyway, let's see how this will work when the ship is actually being shot by something. Now, my main worry here is that you'll end up bleeding shield, that you'll end up bleeding more shield than you can recover it, since technically you are already taking shield damage from the level 45 attribute, and you also have to tank the enemy DPS. Now, in most cases, I mean, this is a navy, they are ridiculously tanky, and definitely for any ship shooting at a CHONK navy, it will take a while for them to clear the shield. So in any case, whatever you're shooting at, you will have a very rough time to go through your shield. I think even with the 45 attribute running and basically consuming your shield, you can use it occasionally when you need capacitor, I guess. Doesn't have to be online the whole time. Can be used on and off when required, when necessary, which can kind of balance things out. Since if you can already tank your opponent, then you only need to activate the level 45 attribute when your capacitor is getting low. And that way you can still kind of maintain the capacitor, and you can also maintain the shield. So I guess in the end, turning the implant on and off occasionally is the way to do it. Basically, only when you need capacitor you can have it enabled. And I'll also test the same thing out with the Raven Navy, because I believe the Raven Navy should technically be able to do this easier, since I believe it does have a larger capacitor and might be much easier to balance out on the overall usage. But at the same time, it will also be interesting to see how much, since you need to be able to repair 15% of shield per cycle. And it doesn't matter how much raw hit points you have, it consumes 15% of any value that you have. So ships with lower shield volumes might actually be more suitable for this, because it's much easier to repair 15% shield on an Apocalypse Navy than, let's say, on a Raven. With a Raven, you need to have some really serious boosters going on there in order to be able to recover 15% of shield. So very interesting, because it doesn't, I mean, if it had, let's say, a fixed shield usage, then you could technically do this on every possible, ship out there. It could work on dreadnoughts. Again, I'll test this out on most of the dreadnoughts. On the Naglfar, I'm very curious on the Naglfar, because with a Naglfar you can recover more than 15% shield for sure. You can recover like 80% shield per cycle on that thing, so I believe you can easily just recover, use the implant on the Naglfar and just recover everything without much of a problem. So it will be fun to see how it will work on these ships. But on a Phoenix, if I'm able to, I guess, to recover 15% shield per cycle, can work. But for sub-capitals, it seems like ships with a lower shield volume, that it would work the best for them. So, but again, I will be testing it out regardless. Just for science, as they say, out of curiosity. I'm very curious to see how will that work. But so far, this is pretty ridiculous, since it is very difficult to actually maintain a stable capacitor with shield boosters, since we all know that shield boosters like to eat capacitors for breakfast, and right now I'm having 3 boosters running 24/7 with a stable capacitor without a single capacitor battery installed. Now, the thing that I dislike, or the thing that I hate, I hate that the implants are ridiculously expensive. Someone in the comments, please do tell me how much does it cost to get the implant below 45. I know it used to be like 300 billion or something ridiculous like that. It's stupid. I'm really not a fan of how much the stuff costs, since obviously not everyone will be able to get this implant to this level, and this type of build is just a bit weird to do, because I'm well aware that not everyone can afford a 300 billion disc implant. Even if you like making, I don't know, like 10 billion a month, for that, let's say 10 billion a month, 12 months, you will have like, what, 3 years of grinding 24/7? Yeah, it's kinda insane. And of course, then you have to account for Omega and stuff like that. Well, unless you're paying Omega with euros or dollars, then I guess it doesn't really take away from ISK, but I'm not a fan of how stuff is expensive. I know you can like grind and pay for a carry service to get the implant, and that exists, but getting the implant is one thing. Actually leveling it up, that's where the party starts, as they like to say. And well, what do I have to say about this current little ship? Well, kind of crazy that this actually works. This seems to be, for the LOL45 attribute to be working 24/7, you don't even need to have like lasers. That's the thing. It works on any ship as long as you have it equipped. It will work on any ship. You have missiles, cannons, anything. It should work. So that's the fun part. And will be fun to actually check this out on the Tempest fleet, since the Tempest fleet doesn't use lasers, uses cannons, and cannons don't use capacitors, so technically The Tempest fleet should be able to do this easier, although I'm a little bit worried about the capacitor on that ship. The Tempest fleet does not really have a good capacitor to begin with, so I think it might be a challenge to get the capacitor stable on that. So the ideal ship for this type of build is a ship with a lot of capacitor and a ship that doesn't have a lot of shield. Basically, you want to be able to recover the lost shield very quickly, and you can easily do that with armor ships, for example. Armor ships, the Galactic ships, they usually don't have a lot of shield, since they rely more on armor than shield. But yeah, this is maybe cursed. Maybe, I mean, this is why I call this series Frankenstein cursed ship builds that are troll builds as well, because a build like this, in my eyes at least, is still cursed. Because on the Apocalypse Navy you have a lot of armor. There's 80,000 armor. So the right thing to do with the ship is to build it for armor. But at the same time, if you want to troll some ships, this might work as well. I mean, just look at this thing, tanking like it's no big deal. Insane in a way. Infinite capacitor. Here we go. We are having infinite electricity, infinite capacitor. Solved all energy crisis right now. With this. With this little video. Kind of funny how that is, but yeah, this seems to be working. Now the capacitor does seem to be going down very slowly though, but that's nothing that you can fix. I mean, I don't even have a nanocore on this ship. I think you have nanocores that can increase your capacitor. You have you can make integrations for the engineering rigs to basically improve the recharge rate or the volume of the capacitor. So you do have a lot of options, really. You can make a build like this much more lethal and much more tanky than what I have right now. This is me basically just demonstrating that this type of thing does seem to be working oddly, surprisingly, really well. When I was presented with this idea, I had my doubts, honestly, because again, armor ships don't have a lot of shield, but at the same time, the navy ships are not just ordinary ships. They do come with some very good recharge, passive recharge, and they do come with some very good resistance. So it's not that difficult to make it work with a navy. I just hope that the price on these things doesn't skyrocket overnight because of this. Would be funny if it does, but right now they are about 3 billion in the market, 3.2 billion in the market, around that number. So yeah, I mean, it works, and this opens up some possibilities. This does open up a lot of options, I guess. As I mentioned before, I'm very curious to see how it will work on the Dreadnought. That's probably the next video I'll be releasing after this one. So I'm very curious to see how it will work on Dreadnought, on a Revelation. A shield tank Revelation, Jesus Christ, that's going to be so cursed. But out of curiosity, I will build the ship that way, because I just want to see, I really want to see how it will work. And at the same time also we'll play around with the build on that thing a bit more, since it has 8 low slots, right? So the Revelation, all of them have 8 low slots. That's a good question. How will 8 low slots work in full? I think I can make it without any capacitor battery, basically. A Dreadnought without any capacitor batteries, but it's still ridiculously hard to kill because of the insane implant. And at the same time, it will be funny if the developers nerf this into the next updates, because I know some of the developers watch what I do here. So will be fun to track that out, what will happen. But anyway, that was the Apocalypse Navy with infinite capacitor, but using no capacitor batteries. Oh boy, this is so silly. I do like how it works, but at the same time I don't really like it because it's so evil. And You guys tell me what you think about this type of idea. Is it worth it? Is it good? Is it bad? Is it cursed? I'm interested to see what you guys have to say. But with that being said, hope you guys enjoyed. Was a very fun video to make for sure. And with that being said, stay safe, fly safe. And as always, I'll see you next time.